Hello everybody, welcome back. Today in this video I'm going to be talking about Rahu Return. So Rahu and Ketu are on a 180 degree axis, and if you look up your birth charts you will see that they are diagonally opposite each other in the birth chart. So if Rahu is in Aries, Ketu will be in Libra. If Rahu is in Taurus, Ketu will be in Scorpio. And then that is the natal Rahu, that is the natal position for Rahu. But Rahu and Ketu are continuously moving through the zodiac like all the other planets, and every 1.5 years Rahu and Ketu will change their zodiac. So after 18 years Rahu and Ketu come back to the natal position in the chart. And even though I have not made separate videos on the different axes of Rahu and Ketu, I will still try in a few words and explain the meaning of the Rahu and Ketu return. And I will be making videos on this, on the different axes, in the next few months. So currently Rahu on the 23rd of September is moving into the zodiac of Taurus. Ketu will be in Scorpio. But whenever you're watching this video, whichever zodiac sign Rahu is moving into, you will still be able to understand what a Rahu Ketu return means for you if you going through a Rahu Ketu return or a half return. Half return means if your natal Rahu, for instance, is in Scorpio and your natal Ketu is in Taurus, now transiting Rahu in Taurus is going to be over the natal Ketu. Similarly, transiting Ketu in Scorpio is going to be over the natal Rahu. That is a half cycle completed by this node. A full cycle is when Rahu comes back over Rahu, which is a Rahu return, and a half cycle is when Rahu comes back over Ketu in your natal chart, or Ketu comes back over Rahu. So that is what a Rahu return is. That is one full cycle or half a cycle. What does this mean? We have to understand there are two parts to this cycle, two parts to this video that I'm going to be talking. Firstly, what does Rahu mean in your chart? That is extremely important. Because now if you are having a Rahu return, it means you have your natal Rahu in Taurus. Or whenever you're watching this video, you could be watching this video in 2022, and then you're going to be having Rahu in Aries. Or another 1.5 years later, Rahu is going to be in Pisces, because Rahu transits backwards, it moves backwards. So whenever you're watching this video, in whichever zodiac Rahu is moving, if you have your natal Rahu there, then you are having a Rahu return. So natal Rahu and transiting Rahu in the same zodiac sign. But what does that natal Rahu mean for you? Whatever that natal Rahu means for you is now going to get very enhanced. In whichever zodiac sign Rahu and Ketu are in your chart, they show what your past life was like and what your current karma has to be focused on. What did you do in your past life? What all did your soul, what all does your soul already know? What all have you done in the past, and what all you already know how to do? So those things are not required in this birth. For the soul's growth, for the soul's evolution, those things are not required. The soul already has a knowledge of those things. So wherever Ketu is posited, your soul already has a knowledge of those things. Wherever Rahu is posited, that is the area of growth for you. Those things you are supposed to be learning in this birth. Those things you are supposed to be doing in this birth. And if you are having a Rahu return, it means those things are going to get enhanced. That's the first meaning of this transit. The other thing is Rahu return always happens after 18 years. It takes 1.5 zodiacs, 1.5 years in one zodiac. So in 12 zodiacs, it will be 18 years. So after 18 years, Rahu comes back to its natal position. So around the time you were 18 years of age, if you're having a Rahu return, you are either 18 years of age or you will be 36, because the second Rahu return will come when you are 36. The third Rahu return will come when you are 54. The fourth Rahu return will come when you're 72. Now these are landmark years in our life, very important years in our life. And the house Rahu is posited is a very important house, for you. Whatever the learning related to that house is. But think about these years, no matter in which house Rahu is posited, see what these years are connected to. See, up to the age of 18, we are more connected to our home, the fourth house, learning, the fourth house, family, the mother. When Rahu comes back, when you're 18, around 18, between 17 and 19, when you're going to have your first Rahu return, your focus now will become the seventh house. The focus now is more on the karma trine, on your desires. The focus now is more on your desires. It's about relationships, interacting with others, and your ambitions, the 11th house, the third house, and the 7th house. This is more about, because that is the impact you will feel. You will be pulled towards relationships, you will be pulled towards interacting with others, partying with others, and of course your own gains and ambitions that you have related to your career. So all that becomes very enhanced from the age of 18 onwards. Once we touch the age of 36, around the age of 35, 36, 37, when you have your second Rahu return. Now Rahu has come back to its natal position again. You will be, if you're having a second Rahu return, you're going to be of that age, around 36. Now the focus of your life will be more about artha, materialistic things in life, making a career for yourself. The 10th house, that Kendra becomes very activated. The 10th house, the 2nd and the 6th house, because they are trines to the 10th house. So it's all about career and accumulation of wealth, and you're going to be extremely busy in your daily routine, trying to make the ends meet, providing for the family. So the first was the 7th house, the karma trine is very activated at that time, and it's all about me. I want this, I want that, I want to get married to such a person, I want that career, I want this bigger salary. Now in the second return, when you're around 36, now it's about us. We need a house, we need to provide for our children, we need to do this. It's more about us, but it's more about providing materialistic security to the family. The third Rahu return happens when we are around the age of 54. Now at that age, we are thinking more about retirement. We are thinking more about, now it's the first house becomes very important, the next Kendra. So the initial stage, the first 18 years, I spoke about the fourth house, the first Kendra. It's according to the cycle. Then the next 18 years, from 18 to 36, it's the karma trine, more about your desires and ambitions. The next 18 years, from 36 to 54, it's more about the artha trine, the 10th house, 2nd and 6th house. And now from the age of 54 to 72, it's again the first house, the dharma trine. Now you're thinking more about your retirement, you're thinking more about your responsibilities, how do you settle your children, how do you get them married off. Your focus is the 5th house, the 9th house, the family, the parents as well as the children, and yourself, your responsibility, your dharma, not only towards your own children and parents but towards society at large. And the next Rahu return, which happens at the age of 72, you again go back to the 4th house. You again, more we usually say old people, become like children. They stay at home, they want to spend some quiet time. They are, again, many old people want to go back to learning, even if it's learning about spirituality. They're trying to find that peace inside of them. So again, the 4th house, the moksha trine becomes very important at that age. So this is a general effect or result of the Rahu returns that you will feel. You will be pushed towards these areas of life. So when you are 18, it's all going to be, the karma trine gets very activated, and you're thinking about all your ambitions, all your dreams and desires, interacting. The 3rd house and the 11th house are trines to the 7th house. This is the karma trine. So it's about partying, enjoying, interacting, making friends, relationships, ambitions related to career, so things like that. But now when you come to a point where Rahu is transiting over your natal Ketu. That will happen around the age of 27. So 26, 27, 28 is the time when Rahu will now transit over natal Ketu. Now, even though your desires, your ambitions, you're still living in the karma trine, you're still obsessed with all that in life, there is going to be this half return, this half cycle of Rahu and Ketu when they transit over each other. In transit, when they transit over each other's natal house, then it's like a checkpoint. It's like a testing time. That also will be important. Those also will be important and very, very crucial years of your life. So 18 is a very crucial year of our life, where our ambitions are concerned, where our dreams and desires are concerned, because we tend to move into college, into university, and we tend to take up a course which will take us to the right career path. Similarly, the age of 25 to 28 is again a very important time, because that is the time when we're thinking of settling, or we've joined a job, we are in a good service, or we're building a business. But at the same time, from karma, from self, from desires and dreams, there will be a sense of responsibility because of relationships also. So this is your checkpoint. You are going to be married around this time. You got to make adjustments. It's not just your desires, dreams, ambitions. It's what the other person also wants. It's what society expects of you. So here your desires will get a checkpoint. You are at a checkpoint where your desires will be checked. Are they in harmony with what is expected of you? Sometimes our desires are not in harmony with our destiny. So this is a checkpoint. If your desires, if your ambitions are in harmony with what destiny has in store for you, this will be like a boost for you. And you'll get a kick and you'll get sudden success. But if your ambitions, if your desires are not in harmony with your destiny, then this can be like a time where you got to become more realistic, more responsible in your life. Similarly, at the age of 36, when we are more focused about the family, when we are more focused about earning wealth, there will be a checkpoint again around the age of 45, because around the age of 45, natal Rahu will again come back, transiting Rahu will come back over natal Ketu, transiting Ketu will come back over natal Rahu. So again you come to a checkpoint. So it's all about career, it's all about earning wealth, it's all about the family and everything. Now the checkpoint is what we call like a midlife crisis, when we're thinking about what are we doing, is this the right career? So you will see a lot of people who are not aligned with their destiny sometimes have major career changes around the age of 45, 42 to 47, 48. People have major changes because this is the time that Rahu and Ketu also mature. So this is the time now after the second Rahu return, when you're having the half cycle of Rahu and Ketu, that a lot of people change careers, make major changes in their careers to align to a certain destiny that is planned for them. So this is again a very, very important time. So whenever you have a Rahu return, it's like a push towards that direction. Whenever you have a half return, Rahu going over Ketu, Ketu going over Rahu, checkpoint, responsibilities. Are you on the right path? If you're going to get married, are you only thinking about your dreams and desires at the age of 27, 28, 30? Are we only focused about our own ambitions? The adjustments we've got to make now in order to fulfill those ambitions will be made at that age, around the age of 26 to 28. The adjustments that we got to make now to fulfill our destiny where our career is concerned will happen between the age of 42 to 48, because then you're going to have that nodal axis over your natal axis, but in reverse. So the adjustments, the responsibilities, you will be facing certain responsibilities and you will make certain adjustments, which we call midlife crisis. A lot of changes are made at that age. So this is how the Rahu Ketu axis, the returns and the half returns impact us. But we also have to see what the natal chart says. Where is your Rahu in your natal chart? Let's suppose you have Rahu in the first house in your natal chart, and now you are having a Rahu return. Rahu in the first house is all about being independent, being self-sufficient, being self-dependent. If you're having a Rahu return and Rahu is in the first house in your natal chart, that is what is expected of you. The question that is going to come in front of you: are you self-dependent? Are you independent? If not, nature is going to push you and it's going to ensure you that you get on the track. It's a boost, it's a push. If you're living with your parents, maybe, then this could be a push towards moving out, living on your own, not being overprotected by somebody, not being protected by somebody, being independent. So in some way you could be moving out at that age, you could be getting a transfer, something like that would be happening that will make you move away from living under somebody else, where somebody is guiding you and managing things for you, because Rahu in the first house means you got to be independent. So Rahu return, if you're having at the age of 18 or 36, could mean that there will be some kind of a change where you will be moving out of somebody's shadow, where you will be moving out of somebody's care and learning to be independent. Rahu return, if it's in the second house in your natal chart, if you have Rahu in the second house and you're having a Rahu return, means in this life you got to learn to bring in stability in your life, materialistic and financial stability. That is the lesson you got to learn. And if you are at that age, if you're having a Rahu return and Rahu is in the second house, you will come across opportunities that will help you gain that financial stability and security and make a family that brings you that kind of a support. So this could be a good time to find out new ways of making money. So it's all about financial growth. If you're having a Rahu return, it's a boost, it's a push for financial growth, because your natal Rahu is in the second house, and transiting Rahu coming there asks you, are you financially secure? Are you stable? If not, nature will push you towards that direction. Rahu return in the third house, if you have natal Rahu in the third house. Third house is all about experiences, experimenting and experiences, not being dependent at all. Even smaller things like enjoying, going out, partying, experiencing. Ninth house is all about what your father tells you, all the values and traditions that you're following. And on the other side, the third house is about you learning also from your own experiences, you making a lot of effort and being independent. So if you have a Rahu in the third house, and if you're having a Rahu return, have you got the right experiences that make you independent? Are you learning things on your own, or are you still just going by what you have learnt in university, in college, from your teachers, from your gurus? Here your personal experiences, a sense of independence, even sometimes frivolous behavior, just partying and going out and spending, will also become very enhanced if you have a Rahu return in the third house. Rahu return in the fourth house, if you have your natal Rahu in the fourth house. Rahu in the fourth house suggests that you connect with your inner self, you find happiness and peace inside of you. Your home in this birth is extremely important for you. How connected are you with your home and yourself and your happiness and your mother? And if you're having a Rahu return, circumstances will push you towards that. This also could be something to do with real estate, home, making a home for yourself. Not just a house, a home for yourself. Connecting with your mother, connecting with your relationships, connecting with your emotions, finding that inner peace and happiness. So there will be a push towards that direction. Rahu return in the fifth house. If you're having a Rahu return in the fifth house, it means, Rahu in the fifth house means you got to be able to express yourself. Your creativity is very important in this birth. Your expression is very important. How you love could be just love relationships, could be children. Your relationships, your bonding with your children is very important. You will be pushed, you will be asked, have you developed your knowledge? Do you have enough knowledge to be able to stand up and speak? Can you express yourself in a creative way? What kind of a bonding do you have with your children? And nature will push you so that you develop yourself in that direction. It's a boost, it's a push. Rahu return, if Rahu is in the 6th house. In the 6th house, Rahu means you got to be able to deal with conflict, litigation, daily routine. You got to be able to analyze and form plans and be disciplined where your work is concerned. And if you're having a Rahu return, the questions will be asked. What kind of a plan do you have in your daily routine? Are you able to deal with any conflict in life? There could be conflicts that may come up, but you will be able to deal with them. You may not be very, very regular, very organized where your work is concerned. You will be pushed to make that happen. This is a good transit. Rahu returns in the 7th house. If you're having a Rahu return in the 7th house, what does it mean? Rahu return in the 7th house simply means you got to learn the art of diplomacy. You got to stay away from conflict. It's not just all about me. In this life, you've come to learn the lesson to build relationships. It's not just my ambition. You will grow with the help of others. Are you learning to build relationships with others? If not, Rahu will ask you and nature will push you towards that direction. Rahu returns in the 8th house. If you have your natal Rahu in the 8th house and now Rahu transiting Rahu is going there, what does that mean? Transformation. You are born in this life because you need to transform from the inside. This transit can be a little difficult. This natal position is also a little difficult. So I would suggest, if you have this Rahu in your transit as well as natal, then you should definitely start with some spiritual routine. It is important to transform yourself, or else there will be lots of ups and downs. There could be situations in this next 1.5 years if you're having a Rahu return in the 8th house. Ups and downs, sudden situations that will transform you. The best way is to build a spiritual routine and evolve and transform ourselves. Rahu return in the 9th house. If you have your natal Rahu in the 9th house, it's time for learning higher education, higher knowledge, philosophy, learning about the world, learning about different cultures. This could be spiritual, this could be anything related to your education, this could be moving abroad, learning new cultures, meeting new people, different people, opening your mind up. Rahu return in the 10th house. Career. Are you focused on your career? Are you focused on getting a status, a position for yourself? If not, nature is going to push you towards it. It's a good transit. Rahu return in the 11th house is all about your ambitions. What ambitions do you have? What plans do you have to achieve those ambitions? Do you have any plans? These are the questions that nature will ask you and push you towards that direction. You will get a boost in that direction. Rahu return in the 12th house. Rahu return in the 12th house could be connecting you with foreigners, with foreign countries, projects from foreign. Could be connecting you with spirituality. Again, not being in the limelight. Not being in the limelight. That is what the 12th house is about. It's about giving. So this is what the Rahu return is going to push us towards. It's a strong transit if you're having a return, because your natal chart suggests that you got to move on this path. And if you're having a return, you're going to get that push of nature which is going to push you towards that path. And if you're going to have a Ketu over your natal Rahu instead, then it's going to be a checkpoint, checking for responsibility. For instance, if Rahu is in the 1st house in your natal chart and Ketu is in the 7th house, and now in transit you have Ketu in the 1st house and Rahu in the 2nd house. So even though your natal chart says it's all about yourself, being independent, being self-dependent completely, not depending on anybody, if you have a half return and now Rahu is in the 7th, Ketu is in the 1st, it means you will be asked the question in your journey about being independent. Are you also considering that there are others that you got to take along with you? So maybe it's time to think about the others in life as well. So now you will be thinking about the other side of the axis. Now those things will come up as a question mark. Are you taking them along with you in this journey or not? A sense of responsibility will come up. Incidents will happen that will make you ask you how responsible you are. And if you are responsible, if you're already on the right path, then this will be like a push for you. This will be like a push and growth in that direction. So that is all for now in this video. We'll be seeing you in the next video. Bye bye for now.